Hello everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Getting Results in Business series, we have actually finished our unit on facts and figures. I would like to talk a little bit about our activity from yesterday. But today, I'm going to give you a special extra reading class so we can develop our vocabulary that we've learned, add to it, and also add some new words that we've learned. We're going to add to it, but we're going to use what we've learned to have a discussion about what we've learned so far. So we'll begin that in just a minute. First, a little bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to, where's my slide? Oh, there it is. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Also, tune in to the new words you're learning when you are speaking so I can correct you and give you feedback. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And what I'm going to do now, before we begin, is share the material with you on the screen, which you can see here. It's going to take a second for that to load. In the business class, for those of you who are new, I'm going to put a link there in the chat window for you. All the material you need is in this document, the notes, Getting Results in Business notes. And each class will be loaded in the next page. So you go down, past the table of contents, past the topics, and when you get to page 6, you've got everything we've done in one place, including the summaries of the previous classes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is open the presentation for today, which is the reading. You see it at the bottom. Excuse me. And let's see if the others join us. Yesterday, we had a meeting. I'll put that on the screen too. You'll see both. Yesterday, we had a business meeting based on the language we learned for talking about facts and figures. In the meeting, we had to decide on a solution. Everyone had to present a solution for a company that we analyzed. And I'll show you that in just a second. Let's see if it's loaded. Yeah, there it is. So we finished the unit here on slide 5. You had to pick a solution to help our client, MPS, which is a mobile phone accessory company. You had to present a solution and talk about the statistics that you learned, whether the company was profitable or not profitable, that kind of thing. Oh, sorry, Barley, we got to mute you for a second because you're getting lots and lots of feedback. So we did that presentation yesterday. We didn't really decide on which solution we wanted, but we had some people presenting Craigslist, MySpace, /.org. These were some of the companies that we profiled yesterday. So if we get some people from yesterday here today, it looks like I don't think anyone was here yesterday. Daniel, you were not here yesterday, right?
No.
No, okay.
No.
So we're looking for Rebecca. Greg is not able to come today. Jose, Ale, who else? I think it was those 4. So if we don't have, anyway, we're going to start something new, but I wanted to maybe have them do a little summary, and then we could decide in the end what we thought the best solution was. So if they come back, maybe we'll jump back to finish this activity. But since everyone else looks like they're new, we'll probably just, maybe it's better just to move on. Okay, so we might jump back. Just for the new people, Each of these units is usually 8 classes, sometimes 9. Today we have an extra class. We learn vocabulary in the first 2 classes. We learn key expressions in the situation we're dealing with in the next 2. A practical application in the next 2. Grammar in the next 2. And then we finish up with putting that all together into a business meeting, a business presentation, a role play, or some kind of situation where we have to use everything we've learned. So just be aware, Kuba and Yomna and Barley, this is the very end of a unit, and we're going to be starting a new unit in the next class, which is on Monday, just so you know, okay? But that's okay. You can come and go as you like. The reading that we're going to do in this class does not depend on anything that came before it. So we can just read and learn. So, facts and figures, reading. We're going to, of course, be talking about numbers and trends. We may be asking for factual and numerical information or talking about it. We may be using some of the reported speech we learned. But as it says at the bottom, John Eric says, let's read together, discuss the articles, and learn even more vocabulary for this unit's theme, facts and figures. All right, so let's do that. And if you just give me 1 second to open this on my computer, I'm going to ask you a few questions I'd like you to think about before we begin. Just a second here, because I have to open something on my computer first. I have to open my notes. Here we go. Okay. One second here. Okay, so before we begin reading this, I'd like you to think about a few things. Let me go back here. I'd like you to think about maybe 3 questions, and I want you to discuss this as a group. In your country, where you live, how well regarded are doctors, accountants, and lawyers? How difficult is it to become one? Which one do parents want their children to be or to marry the most? So in the United States, I guess it depends on what your family's like, you know, but you're always told when you're a kid, when you grow up, you got to be successful. You got to be a lawyer. What's it like in your country? Let's hear some different perspectives, because it's going to have a lot to do with the article that we're reading.
How hard is it become to a lawyer?
Yeah, doctor, lawyer, or accountant. How hard is it to become one?
20 years ago, when I began my university, the price of a student at university, it was not too expensive.
Yeah.
You only need to study normal, but then the problem is to get a good job. In the case,
20 years ago, it was affordable to study, but getting a job was not so easy.
Yes.
And now?
Now it's difficult, economic, to study a degree at the university, and then it's too hard to find a job. People is studying English,
right,
or work abroad, you know.
Right. So you're saying it's not about the doctor or the lawyer or the accountant. It's not about the course. It's just the general situation. That's the problem.
Yes.
But how well regarded are doctors, lawyers, and accountants? Is that like a special thing?
Yes, a doctor I think is very important people, uh,
Person?
very important person.
Mhm.
Yes, a counter and a lawyer, no, not too much.
Not so much. Really,
Maybe
lawyers, not so much.
an engineer,
Hmm.
it's more important. But the
Okay.
most important is your job, your position. How much you
Right.
earn.
So that's Spain. What
That's
about Poland? What do you think, Kuba?
I think everything depends on you, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe, of course, when you go to medicine studies
Hmm.
or
When you study
uh,
medicine.
study medicine, you have to be prepared for 2 years more of learning, of studying, because these particular studies are longer than normal. Normal studying, I mean normal other
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 degrees.
speci other specialized
We
or
could
other
say,
degrees, yes.
yeah, other degrees, other specializations. I think you want to say specialization.
Specializations, yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's not so tough to become a doctor. Of course, if you pass all your exams,
Hmm.
but more difficult situation is with lawyers, because even if you pass all your exams, uh, it's not easy to become a lawyer. It's a group of people. They are very I don't know how to say. Um,
Protective.
let me check. What did you say? Protective?
Protective.
What does that mean?
That they stop people from entering the order, the lawyer's
Yes,
order.
that's right. That's right.
So
I mean,
like a lobby, like a
like a
lobby.
lobby. That's right. That's right. So one people who is a lawyer already let into to the to the lawyers group only for the people who he knows, or from his family, something like that.
Right, right, right. So that's the problem. In other words, again, so it must be very, very important in Poland. It must look very good to be a lawyer. Like only
I think so.
certain people can be lawyers. Yeah. So very, very highly regarded. Okay, very interesting. And so, Yoma, what can you say about your country? Lots of
Um,
problems in Egypt these days, but wait, you're in Egypt, aren't you? Or you in Algeria? I forgot.
no, Egypt, Egypt.
You're in Egypt. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
is it really difficult to become a doctor or lawyer in Egypt?
yeah, it's too difficult to be a doctor, especially because you need to study hard to be a doctor, to go to the faculty of medicine. And after being in this faculty, you need to study more and more and to be more interested. So it's not easy. And after you finished, you need to continue to prepare for your master degree and to be a good doctor or to be a famous one. But to be a lawyer, it's easy. It's too easy
Hmm,
here because
too easy.
to
Uh-oh.
yeah, to be a lawyer or to go to the faculty of the law. This
Uh-huh.
cause because this faculty need to study hard. But to be a famous one or to be a successful lawyer, it's not easy. It's too difficult.
Hmm.
Yeah. Is there a difference to be a lawyer and to be a famous one or to be a successful one?
Right, right.
So yeah, and to be an accountant, I think that most of Egyptians are accountants here, are accountants. Yeah, the faculty of commerce.
Right.
It's easy to go to this faculty, and most of people go to it. But also, it's too difficult to be a good accountant or a successful one. So I think it depends on your in your effort and what some people do their best to be successful people. So, to be a doctor, it's difficult to go to this faculty or to be and doctors here are very important people. Okay,
Right, right, right.
if you are successful lawyer or successful accountant or successful doctor, you're really important one. You're really important person here. So it depends on your effort and what you do to be successful.
And are you studying right now?
No, I'm not. I'm preparing for my master degree now.
Uh-huh. And
Uh,
what are you going to do a master's in?
I'm studying in the teaching methods and curriculum because I'm graduated from Faculty of Education.
Ah,
And so
teaching what?
teaching English.
There you go.
My department my department is English, and this is my problem. Yeah, because
Very
I
good.
need to improve my English to be because here in Egypt you learn more and more about the language, not about how to practice or to communicate with it.
But that's why you
So
have verbling. You've got
yeah,
verbling to practice. So you see, it all works out.
exactly. That's right. Verbling is one of the wonderful and one of the best websites I've ever seen.
It's a very good place to practice for sure.
Yeah, sure, of
Sometimes,
course.
sometimes you even learn something, but it's also a very good place to practice. Let me just ask a quick. I just wanted to ask Barley before we move on. Barley, how is your microphone now? Is it working?
Yes.
Ah, there we go.
Okay.
Hello, Barley.
Hello.
Barley, where are you from?
I'm from Turkey.
Ah, from Turkey. Yeah, you were here the other day, I remember.
Yeah, we have met before.
And what do you
Uh,
do? Are you working?
I'm working. I'm an engineer.
Ah,
Now I have a holiday. I have 5 days, 1 week holiday, so I am at home now.
happy
But I'm working.
holidays.
Yeah. Uh, the midterm of the education, my kids have a semester holiday, so I want to spend some time with my family.
Good. Very good.
Uh, yeah,
So
because of okay.
let me ask you a question. We're going to read an interview in just a second. And before we do that, we're talking about the status of doctors and lawyers and accountants. So in
Mhm.
Turkey, what kind of status do those people have? Are they a
Uh,
high status? Like like Yoma was saying in Egypt, being a doctor is a really important thing. In America, it's not that important. I mean, if you're a famous doctor, yeah, but it's not. There's a lot of people in medical school. That doesn't have the celebrity status that it does in some places. What's it like in Turkey?
partly same in Turkey. If you are if you are a doctor, but if you are a good doctor,
Right.
famous doctor, yeah, you have a good status. Uh, at the same feeling like if you are a good engineer, electronic engineer, mechanical engineer, and industrial engineer, and so on.
Right.
But not all of the engineers are important. If you are a good engineer, if you graduate from a good university and you have a good talents like speaking English and you have a master degree and PhD, you have a good status. Generally, we can say doctors being doctor is very hard rule. You have to study and 7 years for basic. If you graduate from university after 7 years, you will be a basic doctor. After
Right.
that, you have to have 4 years for being expert on some special area
Specialist.
like
Specialist.
specialist. Yeah,
Right.
specialist. Uh, Being doctor is very hard situation in Turkey. Also, being lawyer, being good lawyer, you have to do something extra after graduation. You have to do master degree and PhD also, or working on some special areas. It's hard to be a good lawyer as well in Turkey.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
yeah,
let's try this. I want you to think about these ideas. So we have the expense. It's a problem, maybe.
yeah,
Kuba mentioned the social situation, the lobby. Just getting
mhm,
into the order can be different. It can be difficult.
yeah,
You and Yoma have talked about how long it takes to study and how much work you have to do. So there's a lot of factors that will go into how successful or how well people are regarded. Let's think about those as we read. And what we're going to do is work on the reading, the pronunciation, and the vocabulary, and then we're going to discuss it at the end. It's a short article. Not an article, it's an interview. So we're all going to take a section. I'll help you with pronunciation along the way. I'll help you with vocabulary along the way. It's 1, 2, 3, but it's very short pages. 3 slides. The real language of business. And we're going to get a point of view. I should tell you a little bit about it. Sorry. So this is an interview with Dilip Raman, an accountant and lecturer in accountancy. He's being interviewed by Jenny Pope this is a writer, a journalist, for a student magazine. What we're going to do is read the first part of the interview, and I've got a few questions to see if you're picking up the key ideas. Okay? And then we're going to move on and read the rest of the interview, and I've got a few true and false statements. So just to make sure that you're picking up the main ideas. But I want you to comment then on what he's talking about in the interview. His perspective about being an accountant or one of these professional people. I've got a few vocabulary exercises for you to do after we've done the reading. We may do it in class or at home, I'm not sure. And then finally, in class, we are going to start to discuss some of the key issues that he brought up. Okay? So, let's go around the room. Everyone's going to take a paragraph. Daniel, can you start us off on the top left side?
Okay.
JP is Jenny, whatever I said her name was. So JP is Jenny and DR is Dilip. But you could just say JP and DR if you want.
Okay. JP, so how did accountancy start? Dear, people have kept records since trade began. In ancient Mesopotamia, tokens were used to represent crops and animals. By the Roman Empire, it had become quite sophisticated and was used for tax purposes and to record the amount of money and goods in the treasury. Roman numerals were used until several hundred years ago. They were okay for addition and subtraction, but unsuitable for anything more complicated.
So we're already talking about how we represent facts and figures, if you haven't noticed. How did accountancy start? Let's all take a turn. So I think Kuba, I think you were the next one in class. Can you take the next part?
All right.
JP. Wait, let me go back. Yeah, go ahead.
JP. I see. So what was the big breakthrough then? DR. The introduction of Hindu Arabic numerals were used today definitely. They were popularized by the Italian mathematician Fibonacci in this book of calculation. He invented commercial arithmetic that went together with the abacus and trade. It was a gradual but total revolution.
We call those Arabic numerals, which is funny because in Arabic, I don't know, maybe Yoma can tell us. As far as I understand, in Arabic, you call them Hindu numerals. In other words, the normal number system we see today. Yoma, can you take the next part on the left?
Yeah. P. Okay, so that was the first biggest step. What was the second? There double entry bookkeeping and the classification of every operation in terms of a debt or credit. Again, this developed in Italy during the 13th century. It spread after Loca
Luca.
Pac, Losa Pacili,
Well, it's an
Bacillus,
Italian word, so Luca.
yeah, Luca
Luca Pacioli. Pacioli.
Pacioli. Luca Pacioli's essay was published in 1494. It was widely followed by merchants, and its use appears in their ledgers,
In their
ledgers,
ledgers.
ledgers,
Ledgers. Yeah.
ledgers. Everything evolved from his really. Pacioli is widely regarded as the father of accountancy.
Okay, and just another pronunciation issue. On the very top, debit or credit? Debit or credit?
Debit or credit?
It's not debt here, because it's D-E-B-I-T. Debit.
Debit.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
So if it was debt, it would be spelled without the I. D-E-B-T. Debt. Okay, just so these are two different ideas.
Sorry, both of the pronunciation are right?
So the first
Debit
one,
or debt?
no. Two words, two different words.
Two words.
So
Yeah.
debit has two syllables, like that in the chat window. That's got two syllables. And debt has one syllable. And in debt,
I can't see this window.
well, it's in the Verbling chat window. So, but after class, you can go back and you'll see the Verbling chat window. The point is this: debt, D-E-B-T, is pronounced differently because you don't say the B. You say debt. Debit, you pronounce the B, and it's a slightly different idea. Debit is when you take out money. Debt is when you owe money. They're a little bit different, slightly different ideas. So you can debit from your account. It doesn't mean you owe money. But if I have a debt to you, I have to pay you something. So they're slightly different ideas. I think that was the part one, yeah. Okay, so that was the first part. I've got a few questions for all of you, since you're following along. First question, just to make sure that you're following. What did tokens stand for in the ancient world? Tokens. What did tokens stand for in the ancient world? Anyone pick that up?
Could you write the word?
Tokens? Sure. I can. I will. When I can get back into the classroom. Oh, there it is. What did tokens stand for in the ancient world?
I don't know.
Anyone? If you're not sure, we'll skip it and come back to it. Maybe your memory will be jarred as we go through the other questions.
Piece of paper.
Say again?
Piece of paper. Pieces of paper.
Tokens?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think it's pieces of paper.
Papiro.
What? Say again?
Papiro.
It's not papyrus.
Papyrus.
It's not papyrus. Papyrus is papyrus. That is paper, early paper.
Mhm.
Give me just a second. In other words, how did accounting begin? How did we start talking about facts and figures? We started in the ancient world using tokens, and the tokens represented what? People? What did they need the tokens for? Token is a little object that represents something else.
They will represent crops and animals.
Yeah,
As
crops
we can
and
be sure.
animals. Right. So it's just for you to pick up the key ideas here. If you need to, look back at the text. Tokens, that was before money, represented crops and animals. Okay? So a few other questions. Let's see if you're paying attention. Question 2. What was the big drawback of Roman numerals? Remember, this guy Fibonacci changed everything. I'll write the question in the window too. What was the big drawback of Roman numerals? Drawback, is that a good thing or a bad thing? A drawback.
A bad thing.
Drawback is a bad thing, correct. So based on what we just read, what was the big drawback of Roman numerals? Glance through the text if you're not sure.
Too sophisticated.
What was too sophisticated? What was?
The this kind of number, the representation.
Yeah, but what was too sophisticated? The numbers were too sophisticated, or the operations were too sophisticated?
The operation are unsuitable for anything more complicated.
The operations were too sophisticated. So that meant that the numbers, they had a different kind of representation. They were too difficult to use for anything except adding and subtracting. And if you know Roman numerals, you have to remember what they stand for. So you have to remember that VI is 6 and IV is 4, you know. You have to really remember it. Sometimes it's a little difficult. Then you have these long strings of numbers, XMC, 11V4. It's really big, very hard to do anything with. Okay? So that is correct, Mr. Jose. Here's another question. What's the difference between I'll write this, what's the difference? Oh, it's not letting me write in the chat window. It's not letting me write anything. I'm just going to have to speak. What's the difference between Roman numerals and so-called Arabic numerals, what we call Arabic numerals, the normal number system? What's the difference?
With that,
what's the difference between Roman and these, what we call today, Arabic numerals? What's the difference?
you need to draw less symbols.
Okay. For example? And that's one difference. Which do we use today? Yoma, what do we call numbers in Arabic? We call them Arabic numerals. You know, like 1, 2, 3, the normal numbers. These, like you see in the chat window. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you can't see the chat window. But you know, the normal ones. What do you call them in Arabic?
Sorry, what we call what? The Arabic numerals?
Well, we call numbers Arabic numerals. The normal symbols, 1, 2, 3, 4. We call those Arabic numerals. What do you call them in Arabic?
The Arabic? Okay. You need me to say them in Arabic?
No, not at all. I mean, Yuma, look at the picture on the right side of the screen. What do you see?
On the right side?
On the right.
I see numbers.
Exactly.
Do you mean the numbers?
Yeah. We call those Arabic numerals. In English, we call those Arabic numerals.
Because the European invented these numbers.
Well,
Who?
exactly. Who invented them? What do you call that? What do you call them in Arabic? Do you call them Arabic numbers?
Yeah,
What do
they
you
are.
do?
Yeah, okay. We call them Arabic numbers, and but this is I don't know anything about that. It's my first time to know that the European who invented these numbers.
It's not
But I know
Europeans.
that
It was
European.
actually. It's not Europeans who invented it. It's Europeans who decided to use them for the first time.
Yeah, they decided for the first time because Egyptian or the European civilization is very old and ancient, and yeah, maybe why not?
So,
So
in reality, this
yeah,
came from India. In reality, or that area. So, in
yeah.
reality, it's Hindu, but we call them
Hindu
Arabic.
Arabic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if in Arabic you call them Arabic numerals like we do. Roman numerals are like when you see the V, the 1, or the 2 slashes, or the 3 slashes is a 3. C is 100, M is 1,000. So those are Roman numerals. So we're talking about how these facts and figures, how figures were represented in part A, just so that's clear. I have one more question. Let's talk about Pacioli. Pacioli. What was Pacioli's contribution? What did Pacioli do that made him significant to accountancy? What did class, all of you, what did Pacioli do? Remember this guy, Luca? Luca Pacioli?
So he developed double entry bookkeeping.
Paciolo is a father of accountancy,
Yes.
and I think that his book or that he invented involved with everything about accountancy and
I think that that Pacioli invented double entry, bookkeeping, and the classification of every operation in terms of a debit or credit.
Hello, Sado. Good morning.
Good morning, all. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Long time no see.
Yeah, I was busy studying.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome back, teacher.
I'm back.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Sure.
Shadow came in and I got kicked out. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. So let me go back to where we just left off. Let's go back here. Okay, so we just read the first part of this little article. We're going to work with the vocabulary in just a minute. We're going to read the second part. It's quite short. I just wanted to ask you a few questions if you picked up the details. So, Pacioli, the father of accountancy, you said, Yoma, I think. And also, Kuba, you said double entry bookkeeping, right?
That he developed or he invented.
Uh-huh. And what is that? Do you know? What is that, double entry bookkeeping?
I don't know. I don't know.
Does anyone know?
I can read only.
I can tell you what I think it is, but I'm not an accountant. Does anyone know for sure? I'll take that as a no. Jose, you know everything about numbers. Come on.
I don't know.
Really? So, double entry bookkeeping is when you have two columns and you keep track of what comes in and what comes out of an account.
Active y passive?
Yeah, that's right, active and passive. So this was a big change in the ancient world. So you always had to come back to the same number. You always had to balance the two sides. So a balance sheet. Double entry booking is like a balance sheet today in a modern business. So that was basically what he came up with. No one had done that before. A more accurate way to know the expenses. It seems obvious to us. It wasn't obvious to them back then. They didn't quantify the world like we do today. Okay, let's finish that. Wow, that is loud drilling. Wow. You're right, Kuba. That is very loud. So let's finish the second part, and then we're going to work with the vocabulary and have a little discussion. It's quite short. We should be able to do this in just 2 minutes or so. Okay? So, I think, Jose, you're next up to read. Can you take the part on the right side, please? Jose? Hello, Jose? Hello? Uh-oh, I don't hear Jose. Does anyone hear Jose?
No.
Uh-oh. Jose, we're going to have to come back to you because...
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Go for it, Jose. Take the part B on the left.
Okay. So, what about balance sheets then? When did they appear? About 100 years later, as you know, a balance sheet is the summary of the activity of a business at a point in time. It is usually prepared at the end of each financial year and summarizes
Financial year.
each financial year and summarizes
Good.
the assets and liabilities of a firm and how it is capitalized.
Capitalized. Good. Keep going.
And his accountancy the same all around the world now. Yes and no. Everybody uses a variation of double entry bookkeeping.
Keep going.
But generally accepted accounting principles may vary between countries. Conventions on how to feature assets such as goodwill.
Wait. How to feature assets.
Feature assets.
Not assets, but assets.
Assets.
Good.
Feature assets such as goodwill or value a firm's property and the inventory it holds can be quite different. There is pressure within Europe to harmonize accountancy rules, but there is still a fair way to go.
So does everyone do accounting the same way? In the whole world, does everyone do it the same way or differently? That's the question from this part. What do you think?
Different, no?
Shadow says different. Jose, you say different. So, a little bit different. Basically, it's still double entry bookkeeping, but everyone has a variation on it. So, fundamentally, it's the same, but practically, it's a little bit different. Okay? If there's any questions, just stop me at any point, okay? Shadow, can you take the next part on the right?
Yeah, I see. So it's a very complicated business. Doctor, this is
No,
the doctor.
it's a
DR?
guy. It's a guy's name. It's Dilip Rahman or
Ah,
D.
okay.
Just
DR.
DL.
hmm Indeed, and nothing more so than the
Auditing.
auditing of company accounts. The whole idea of an audit is to verify that the accounts provide a fair and honest picture of the financial health of a company. This accounting has, oh
Oh no,
sorry,
you skipped a line. This
this
should.
yeah, this should be done as objectively as possible. Accounting has become increasingly creative and auditing more complicated. Sadly, this has led to events like the Enron scandal. Enron executives were involved in false accounting. Their auditors, Arthur Anderson, were found guilty of covering up Enron's misdeeds and went out of business.
By the way, I used to work for Arthur Anderson,
Oh wow.
and I can tell you, they did not go out of business. That's just not true. Because when I worked there teaching English, they just changed their name. That's all they did. They just changed their name. They're still Arthur Anderson, but they called themselves something else. So, not 100% true. Have you guys heard of the Enron scandal? Do you remember that? About almost 15 years ago. Did any of you hear about that?
No,
No? No one? Really? There's a
No.
not me.
there's a great documentary called The Smartest, I think it's The Smartest Guys in the Room. Now it's like a classic. It was kind of one of the first of these not political, but documentaries that are very common today. But at the time, they were not quite so common. So you go in behind the scenes and get a really personal view of a major issue, polemic. Well, in this case, they did a profile of the head of Enron, which was a private energy company, who continued, like the banks, to exaggerate how much money they were making trying to privatize the energy in California. Eventually, they were in such debt that they couldn't hide it anymore, and it seems like everyone in the company really didn't believe they were in debt, even though they knew they were. And then when the debt came out in public, there was a major problem because suddenly no one could afford. California, as a state, had no money for energy. Basically, it cost so much that the taxpayers had to pay so much, just like what happened in 2008. 2008 was even bigger. The taxpayers had to pay billions to the banks, or the economy would collapse. Well, it was like that, but on a smaller scale. That was the warning, let's say. If you see that documentary, The Smartest Guys in the Room, you can probably even see it on YouTube now. It's all about the Enron scandal and the crazy things they were doing with the money. Parties, drugs, alcohol, sex. They were having like rock and roll stars, and these were people who worked in energy. So they're having a great time. See the documentary. Who's next? Jose, you didn't have a chance to read. Can you take the last? Oh, wait, you did read, didn't you? Did you read? I can't remember, Jose. You did, didn't you?
Yes, I
Okay. So I think we're back to Daniel. Could you take the second to last paragraph?
Yes. But fortunately, accountants do more than just audit, don't they? Oh yes, there are many areas of accountancy. Financial accountants supply the information needed by shareholders and banks. Management accountants prepare the information on which business decisions can be made. They help to prepare budgets and cash flow forecasts, although competent business people are capable of doing this too. A budget is essentially a financial plan and a cash flow forecast a prediction of the income and outgoings over time. Accountants also calculate things like costs and return on investment, and work out of when, if ever, a project is
And work out,
and work out
pause,
when
pause, when. So work out is one word, to work out. And work out when, if ever.
and work out when, if ever, a project is likely to break even, and so on.
So, is there only one kind of accountant?
It
Is there only one type of accountant?
no
Or are there many?
many.
There are many. So, in this little paragraph, you have the different types of accountants. You also have some great business language, cash flow, some great language for facts and figures, cash flow, forecast, income. Outgoings is not a normal word. Return on investment is also called ROI, return on investment. So different kinds of accounting for different purposes. And I think we're back to Kuba for the very last part. Could you take that for us?
Yeah, I can do it, but I think do you hear the noise?
It's okay.
Okay. So it's extremely vague. I think it's not a good idea.
Okay. So let's go back to
pick someone else.
All right. Who's reading? You're reading, Yomna? Okay. Good. Thank you for volunteering. Yomna?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're reading.
Yeah, I'm here.
I saw you raising your hand, so go ahead. I saw you volunteering to read. I saw you raising your hand, so go ahead.
Yeah. So from where?
I'm just joking. I can't see. So the last one on the right side, please.
Yeah. Last one. Sorry.
Last paragraph on the right side.
Last paragraph. Okay. So it's extremely varied on what drew you to it as a profession. DR, I have always loved figures and playing around with numbers. This is combined with the indescribable joy of making things balance and achieving order. And as an immersion to this country, it allowed me to acquire.
Wait. As an immigrant.
Sorry, immigrant to this country, it allowed me to acquire the language of business. And when money talks, nobody cares about its accent.
What do you think he means by that, Yomna? When money talks, nobody cares about its accent.
I think money is the most important thing, and when there's money or there's a good money, nobody where is this money from or uh, the important thing is that I have this money or no problem from where can I acquire it or
does it matter?
Or the language of the business or the I think this is the nature of the business. There's no problem about the nature.
And this guy, Dilip, is he from the UK? Is that a normal?
I don't know.
Is that a normal English name, Dilip?
No, I don't know.
So Dilip is probably it sounds like he might be from one of the former colonies, maybe from India or something. Dilip. It's hard to say. But it's not a normal English name. So part of what he's saying, Yomna, I agree with you, but another part is that he learned the language of money when he became an accountant, and his origin didn't matter. It didn't matter that he wasn't a citizen initially, that he was an immigrant. He was an immigrant from another place. So that's part of his motivation. Earlier, we talked about how important it is in your society to be a lawyer or an accountant or, what was it, lawyer, accountant, or doctor. These are what we call, professional professions. You're doing you have a real profession, not just a job. Professional people. So he wanted to be a profession, to be a professional person. Well, I think what we're going to do is give you the next part to do on your own, because you've got some vocabulary exercises. Well, there's a true and false, which I was going to do with you, but we don't have time. But you've got 2 vocabulary exercises for some of the key words, Part B and Part C. And you can correct your own answers on the very last page, as you can see. But let's talk about some of these discussion questions before we run out of time completely. We have just a minute or two. Let me see if we can do one of these or if we should do a different one. I think what I'd like you to do actually is try, because I think we're not going to have enough time. I have to start another class. So here's what I would suggest. Part A is just comprehension. You read it, true and false, and you see if you picked up the main ideas. If you want to skip it, it's okay, because what's more important is the vocabulary. So B and C are vocabulary exercises. So I would do B and I would do C, and then I would check your answers on the last slide. And for D, I would actually write your answers, send them to me to correct. They're short answers, 3 questions. So you could send me a link if you have it on a Google Doc. You could just send me a link in the chat window later. Or send me a message through the Verbling chat window. I can't speak. You know what I'm trying to say. Send me a message, and you can post it directly there, and I'll correct it and send it back. So the 3 questions are, how important is it that countries follow the same accounting rules? This is based on what you read, what we read together. What should be the penalties for a company that falsifies its accounts? Again, based on what you read. This is your opinion, but you've got to go back to the article to give some evidence, and you've got to try to use the vocabulary in B and C to answer the questions. So give you a chance to use it in an active way. And then finally, an accountant is someone who watches the battle safely from the hills, blah, 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 blah. So what do you think about this mean? What do you think about this statement? What do you think it means? Okay? So that's really your opinion. So this will give you a chance to use the key language. The link to the document, of course, is in the class material, but there it is again in the chat window. Okay, so you can have it after class. What else was I going to say? So let's try it like that. In the next class on Monday, we're going to start a new unit, but I'd like to come back to this in the very beginning and talk about your answers as well. So you can send me your writing, I'll correct it, but we can also talk a little bit about the article just to finish up in the next class on Monday. So that's the plan. Are we cool? Or not so cool?
Cool.
Cool! All right.
Okay.
So let's stop here. We'll have a follow-up on Monday. Remember, this class is every Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock GMT. And I'll be back tomorrow for 2 hours of hot topics. What was our hot topic last week, Daniel? You were there, right?
A really interesting topic.
It was. What was it?
I can't remember, but it was.
Me neither.
It was really short.
It was about digital immortality. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We were reading about a company that 2 ways that you could become immortal. Guess what? It was such a big topic that we decided to do it to finish it the next week. So tomorrow, I'm going to give you something else to read, but we're going to work with some of the ideas and the language in there. So 2 hours of immortality. In the end, you're going to have to sell someone an immortality package. You're going to have to come up with another way to become immortal. We've got a lot of things to do. And it's an amazing idea, so you should come. Tomorrow from 9 to 11 GMT. That's it for now. See you soon. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye. See you later.